Hello, BookTube. I've got a mail haul for you today on a cool, cloudy Thursday. No hint from today what's coming for the weekend. The weekend is going to be hot and humid. There's no hint of that right now. It was supposed to threaten rain all day long. There really hasn't been much threat of rain, and there has been no actual rain. A pattern that I think is going to perpetuate itself throughout the summer, where all of the forecasts are showing, in 2 days, 60% chance of rain, 70% chance of rain, hour by hour. And then every time you refresh that data, the percentage of likely rainfall has gone down until finally the day arrives and there's nothing. That was certainly the case last year. We'll see if it's true this year. But today is almost sweatshirt weather. It's there's no sun, there's no wind, but there's no warmth at all. The warmth is coming. It's right behind this system. So I'll be singing a different tune in just a few days. But we have a pretty good mail haul for today. A couple of periodicals, a bunch of packages, including a big box. A big box it's a little bit bigger than the big box that had me squealing the other day, but it's not nearly as heavy. So I don't think the week can really top those two W.H. Auden books. I really don't think it can. But we have two periodicals. First, we have the Martha's Vineyard Gazette. Big, lovely black and white broadsheet newspaper from the island of Martha's Vineyard. This has what every vineyarder does. They go immediately to the back, to the vineyard gardener, all the bird news, and all outdoors. Really, the bird news. I mean, the Vineyard Gardener is an institution as a column, but the bird news tells you what everyone has reported in. Martha's Vineyard is home to a great many avid birders, and they report in. And they're very careful about it. As you know, if you're unlucky enough to know a birder, they are extremely meticulous about what they're doing. So it can be really, really interesting to know what has migrated to the vineyard, what's showing up. And this issue also has a book review by yours truly of that book that we saw on this channel, Memoir as Medicine, which I read and very much liked. But that's not the highlight for me. The highlight is that I'm sharing the page with Skip Finley, who's a Vineyard Gazette legend. So that is an amazing feeling to be on the same page as him. And of course, there's this feeling as well. This is a bit of bleak nostalgia for any of you who are old enough to remember it. The absolute geometric impossibility of making a folded broadsheet newspaper behave. I used to be absolutely adept at that. At that weird kind of origami. I used to be absolutely adept at it, instantaneously. Because I had to be. Because I was working and taking the subway, a crowded subway. I don't know how many of you have ever experienced that, where every seat is taken, but also every inch of standing space is also taken, where people are just wedged in like that. And everyone's trying to read the paper. There were no phones, there's no cell phones at the time. Everyone was trying to read the paper, so you had to get good at that origami. Snap the thing open, fold it 5 different ways until you've got it right like this in just one piece. See, I've completely lost the knack because I don't get newspapers in the mail anymore unless I'm in them. But this, right there, like that, that's what you want. You want to be reading that column, and then you want to fold it over and read the next one. There's no room to do anything else, and I've lost that skill. But it's still nice to be in those papers. And then the other periodical, slightly better known than the Martha's Vineyard Gazette, is The New Yorker, with a cat on the cover. there's a book review in here of that book that we saw on this channel, The Strong Man, where an author takes us through various different iterations of the political strongman in history, which has gotten a lot more play in critical circles than I expected it would. I thought was a fairly lackluster book, and the critical play that I've seen it get does not belie the fact that it might be a lackluster book, because most of the critical play that I've seen it get doesn't really do much with the book. Every once in a while, you'll get a phenomenon like that, where it will strike a whole bunch of commissioning editors or a whole bunch of freelance reviewers as meat, something that they can talk about a lot. Maybe not spend so much time on the book, but timely. So you get it, you'll slot it into your coverage because it's a timely phenomenon, because the author makes that case. And then suddenly a book that maybe doesn't warrant all that critical attention on its own merits will suddenly be getting reviewed everywhere. That does happen. I wasn't expecting it with The Strong Man. But anyway, then we have the packages. And the first one is a Manila Envelope. The others have varying degrees of cardboard. So this first one is one of these heavy, soppy manila envelopes that are usually just full of junk, full of flaking asbestos that I really don't want all over the couch and the bean and me. So let's try and be very delicate with this and see if we can manage. What have we got here? Oh my, it's a bound pages. Wow, okay. Not even a review copy, it looks like. No, this is just nothing at all. Wow, okay. Oh, fantastic. All right, well, it's what I mean by that is this isn't even an ARC. This is just somebody binding the loose pages of an advanced copy. Boy, oh boy, though. Great. This is Anthony Beaver, who's a modern historian I really, really like, and this is his forthcoming book, Russia, Revolution and Civil War, 1917 to 1921. Good Lord. Talk about a book that's going to get reviewed everywhere. Oh my. Absolutely everywhere. I don't have any kind of, obviously there's no publicity material on this thing at all. Just nothing at all. This is just completely advanced. This should just go out to Olive right away so that she can start pitching this. Okay, yeah, I don't have any information on this at all. It says copyright 2022. I imagine that this is well down the line, probably in the fall. Which means that either this could be, well, Beaver's going to get reviewed anyway. He's a big name. So he's gonna, any new book by him would get reviewed everywhere anyway. But this one could go, I guess what we're talking about is something here going viral. This could go mega viral depending on how international events play out involving Russia, which could take a horrifying turn in the next few months. We don't have any idea what a dictator-led, what a Vladimir Putin-led Russia would do if it were suddenly backed into a corner. We don't have any idea what would happen then. And one possibility of what would happen in that instance has been threatened by Vladimir Putin. He has threatened a couple of times to use his nuclear arsenal, which would mean the end of life on Earth. And guess if it means the end of life on Earth, it might also mean the end of book reviewing. So it could be that Anthony Beaver, with this book, will have what every historian dreams of. He will have written the last word on the subject. Let's hope not. But I don't have the date on it, but I'm pretty sure it's not immediately on my radar. Let's look at these next two are these vacuum-packed things that just go out on an assembly line. And you have to be careful with them because the inside of the packaging is adhesive. So if you, it's like a bomb going off to get things out of here. So if you just, I mean, I tossed it just now, but if I ignore it, if I don't tear it up into little pieces, it'll stick to everything. I had that happen once years ago. I think before I started this channel, I had one of those vacuum things with the adhesive on the inside, and I threw it on a pile of paper and ignored it. And then when it was time to clean up, my surly houseboy scooped it and a whole bunch of other obvious garbage up, and unbeknownst to him, part of the inner adhesive of the package had stuck to a piece of paper that I wanted. He didn't see it, of course, so he just threw the whole thing away. And the reason that I wanted the piece of paper, the little piece of paper that stuck to the inside of the packaging, is because it was a paycheck. And now I have these permanent flashbacks to these things. But what was actually in here? Oh my. Okay. All right. Well, a subject that I'm definitely going to write about. I don't think I have a pub sheet on this. It looks like a finished paperback from Vintage, $18. This could be out already. Boy, I'll have to check and see. If this is out already, I'll read it tonight. This is this is by John Fuller, and it is called The Interrupted Journey: 2 Lost Hours Aboard a UFO, The Abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. How many of you remember Betty and Barney Hill? Once upon a time, they were media darlings. Their names were known. That was a long time ago. When was that? Well, let's see what the book has to say. Let's just read. We'll read the back just as if you'd pick this up off the table at your bookstore, because this is what it's going to look like. Unlike this, this is not going to look like that on your bookcase. One summer night, Betty and Barney Hill were driving home through New Hampshire when a bright object appeared in the sky and began following them. When the couple finally pulled over to get a better look, the object vanished before their eyes. With nothing else to do, Betty and Barney returned to their car and kept driving into the night. The encounter left them rattled, but what came next was even more arresting. The following day, the Hills realized they couldn't remember anything from almost 2 hours of their drive. Time itself had disappeared, so the couple began looking for help, hoping to uncover what happened that mysterious night. Captivating and unput-downable, The Interrupted Journey is the complete story of those missing hours and the Hills' nearly identical accounts as revealed under psychotherapy and hypnosis, which stands as one of the most extraordinary UFO tales of our time. A bestseller in 1966 and republished for a new generation of readers fascinated with space travel, this book remains a seminal work about UFOs, alien life, and encounters with the unknown. So this is a new reissue of The Interrupted Journey. I forget what the original cover of The Interrupted Journey looked like. Boy, I wish I could put pictures on a video, because once upon a time you could not keep it in bookstores. I want to take issue only with part of that engaging cover. This is a very nice reissue. I want to take issue with only part of one small part of that cover copy, which is that none of it is true. The cover copy simply states that they saw a bright shining object that disappeared from sight. It simply states that they had 2 hours of missing time. It simply states, as a matter of fact, that the accounts they initially gave separately line up. And, of course, the book goes on to describe in great detail what happened to them when they were taken aboard a flying saucer and probed by aliens. None of that happened. None of that is true. The back of the cover, the book states it as fact. But I guess if it were being really cautious, it would say that the Hills claimed all of this stuff. Because they did. But how fantastic. I mean, I always say it, that I love first of all, I say I love my job, and I do. But I also say that, really, I mean, as heretical a thought as it is, there's really no reason for me to go hunting in used bookstores or charity shops or church basements or anything like that. The reprint culture in the American book market is good enough to supply me with Oldies-But-Goodies all the time. Maybe not in the frenetic pace that I get them when I go out book hunting, but then there might be a lot wrong with that pace. But how's that for The Interrupted Journey reissued? How fantastic. Then we have another one of these adhesive packages. I tore a piece off it, trying to get it open. I tore a random piece off it because it won't come. It does not want to divulge its contents. It does not want to do that. Here, let's put that aside. I will take, I'm thinking it'll probably be an hour to take those things apart. Totally ridiculous when you can just put them in an envelope. But what is this next one? Oh my. Okay. All right, great. All right, this is also a finished copy. This is $17 paperback. This also might be out right away or out real soon. Boy, it's fantastic that these things are going to be relatively affordable. You hand over $20. You hand over a $20 bill, you'll get one of these books. The $20 bill will handle the book and the tax. You'll have a few pennies left over for your piggy bank. This is by Claudia Gray, and it is The Murder of Mr. Wickham. This is a dream come true to Pride and Prejudice fans everywhere. Never was a victim more deserving. Let's see here. The happily married Mr. Knightley and Emma are throwing a house party, bringing together distant relatives and new acquaintances, characters beloved by Jane Austen fans. Definitely not invited is Mr. Wickham, whose latest financial scheme has netted him an even broader array of enemies. As tempers flare and secrets are revealed, it's clear that everyone would be happier if Wickham got his comeuppance. Yet they're all shocked when Wickham turns out murdered, except, of course, the killer hidden in their midst. Oh, who could it be? Is it somebody we know? Is it an actual Jane Austen character that we know? The plot describes that his latest financial scheme has netted him an even broader array of enemies, and I'm assuming that gives Claudia Gray an out so as not to hang the name of murder on any of the characters that we actually know from the book. I'm assuming that those further financial schemes means we can haul in a villain. But wouldn't it be hilarious if it were somebody we know? Good Lord. Who would your bet be? Not Kitty. But I mean, she'd be the most justified, but she wouldn't. Who else would it? Who would the bet be? Who would the bet be? His captain, the head of his regiment, doesn't appear to like him much. Of course, who could it be? Well, anyway, we'll see how the halls of Pemberley are thus polluted. Let's see here. Nearly everyone at the house party is a suspect. So it falls to the two youngest guests to solve the mystery. Juliet Tilney, the smart and resourceful daughter of Catherine and Henry, who's eager for adventure beyond Northanger Abbey, and Jonathan Darcy, the Darcy's eldest son, whose adherence to propriety makes his father seem almost relaxed. In a tantalizing fusion of Jane Austen and Agatha Christie, the unlikely pair must put aside their own poor first impressions and uncover the guilty party before the innocent person is sentenced to hang. I am so there. I am so sold. Talk about reading tonight. This is a perfect example of a mail haul doubling as a TBR. If you think I have the mental fortitude to postpone reading a book called The Murder of Mr Wickham, you think incorrectly. Then we have the box, which is a big thing, nice and healthy, but not very heavy. So there won't be any huge scholarly tomes in here, I don't think. Now, I should be careful with the box because I might be able to use it again. I might be able to. Okay, let's put all this junk aside. I might be able to use it in my endless mailings out to all of you. Let's see what we have here. Oh, it's many books. Fantastic. It's many books. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh man. Oh man. Oh my. All right, well, there are going to be. This is very. Oh, how lovely. This is very exciting, but there are going to be a couple of people out there who are even more excited about this than I am. I know that for a fact. Vintage. I'm guessing one or two dedicated bookworms at Vintage have decided to push through with a passion project and reprint an author's major works in lovely trade paperbacks. Absolutely lovely. And the author is Walter Tevis. Oh, these are gorgeous. The Steps of the Sun. We have The Hustler. Look at that. Just look at that. How wonderful. We have The Man Who Fell to Earth. Fantastic. We have Mockingbird. Pretty tough to top the original mass market U.S. cover of Mockingbird, but this comes close. And finally, The Color of Money, which I should have put next to The Hustler. New Walter Tevis editions. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? Good for them. Good for the folks at Vintage. How fantastic. So what do we have here? Do these have like all the bells and whistles, or are we just getting the books themselves? Yeah, we're just getting the books themselves. No, sometimes you'll see reprints like this and they have guest introductions by I don't know, showboating carpetbaggers, but not in this case. Fantastic. Instead, you've just got these beautiful covers to these new trade paperback, each one of which is $16. So this actually is a kind of a trend, right? I mean, we have the Anthony Beaver Russia book, but all of the other things that we got are they all vintage? Yeah, they're all vintage, and they're all paperbacks. So they're not going to break the bank. I don't have any metadata on the Beaver Russia book, but I'm assuming it'll be a full dress hardcover with maps and end papers. It'll be $40. I'm sure that I'm assuming that this is slated to come out either in the very late summer or in the autumn, when these books tend to be, chock-a-block. This is pretty tempting on its own. Beaver's a go-to historian for me. I absolutely love him, even when I don't agree with some of his conclusions, some of how he marshals his data. I still instantly read him, and this couldn't be better timed. So I think this is going to get reviewed everywhere. But aside from this, this is a new book that doesn't do you any good to see in a Steve pyramid, and it's not coming out, I would bet, for months. Aside from that, I bet most of these things are out either now or very soon, and they're all paperback originals. We have The Murder of Mr Wickham by Claudia Gray. We have The Interrupted Journey, John Fuller's account of Betty and Barney Hill, reprinted. And then we have more reprints, a whole stack of Walter Tevis. The Color of Money, Mockingbird, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Boy, I haven't read some of these in so long. The Hustler, and The Steps of the Sun, which I think will be the one that I reread first. Will be The Steps of the Sun. I haven't read Walter Tevis in so long. Oh, wonderful. Well, it's like I mentioned, right, with the Betty and Barney Hill book. Reprint culture is pretty good. I could satisfy my itch for it that way alone without ever going to used bookstores. Not that I'm going to stop, but I could. So you've got a lot of paperback originals coming your way. I don't have dates for any of these things. Sorry, I don't have. This is one of the only times that we have ever done a mail haul of new books when I had not a single bit. I have not a single publication sheet. I have not a single bit of information about these books. And I don't edit my videos, so I'm not going to cut out research and come back. But finished trade paperbacks probably means they're imminent or out already. Fantastic. Well, okay, an Oldies-But-Goodies mail haul. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to wrap this up and try and decide. I'm pretty sure that it will be a science fiction evening, mostly. It'll be The Interrupted Journey and The Steps of the Sun, although The Murder of Mr Wickham may not even wait for this evening. I may just read it tonight, this afternoon. But anyway, that's the mail for today. That was a light box full of a treat. Fantastic. So I will wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.